Yes, yes.
Diving into a topic everybody can relate to: family drama. So I want y'all to go grab your tea, get comfy, and let's talk about it. About that family drama.
Let's
Now,
get it. Let's go.
hear family drama. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Whew. This one hits close to home. This one hits close to home. Wow. When I think about family drama, I think about how long I tolerated some family members with their drama.
Mm,
And I really believe it's because I have a really small family. I'm the youngest. I was the baby of three girls, right? And I think it started off with me being a people pleaser. And
mm,
that's what got me into that mode, being the youngest, being the people pleaser. But the reality of it is, it ended up, I became like the matriarch. I became the one that carried a lot of the weight.
mm,
Being the youngest, it was really weird, but maybe they knew they could get over me because I was the people pleaser.
right,
But it started at a very young age and it continued into adulthood for me. And that's been a painful journey that I endured. And it could be because, when you get that step stuff happening in the family, because I was kind of
right.
treated as the outsider. My other two sisters had the same dad. I had a different dad. And it was a lot of that kind of drama. And my mom didn't really squash it. So
Mm,
that's what I found to be kind of hurtful. But me and my mom was tight as, we was thick as thieves because that's who I had to cling on to. And I didn't have a relationship with my dad. But I know that's a lot. But that's how it started for me. Yeah.
mhm. Now, with me, when I hear family drama, it's like I just think that everybody goes through it. I don't think there's no family who don't have drama within their family. No matter if it's small or big, it seems like there's always something, when it comes
Always.
to family. But a lot of times within family, you know how they say in the day is like what goes on in this house stays in this house, or what's happened here stays here, and people don't really talk about it a lot. But I feel like it kind of hurts some people because a lot of times, like you said, you kind of just deal with it. And then as a child or growing up, you deal with the different things that's going on. But then that's where I feel like a lot of people in their older age start having mental health issues or depression issues or different things going on within themselves because of the things that they kind of dealt with within their family drama.
Yeah.
So, I mean, have you ever been like it's just, to me, I just think that nobody is equipped from having it, because I don't care, no matter what race, where you come from, is always something.
Yes, and when you say that, it's lots of different ethnicities and families, like you say, people just sweep it under the rug in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hit that nail on the head, sis, because I'm gonna talk about this, honey, either next week or by this weekend on Miss Day's Real Talk with Mrs. Day, is that mental illness is real. Because
Mm-hmm.
the show that I'm gonna talk about in that thing is that when other people, especially family members, when their mental illness is not yours,
Mm-hmm.
because see, that was a part of my dilemma too, that I was taking on the mental illness and the pressures and the foolishness of my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
See, and that gets to be real because one was really diagnosed, and she'll tell you to your face. I ain't saying nothing behind her back, as bipolar and with her mental illness. One of them is medicated and one of them is not. The one that's not is the real narcissist of the
Mm-hmm.
family. So now you got that narcissistic spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's supposed to say anything. Nobody's supposed to tell you how messed up you are. And we all just supposed to pretend, and we let you have your episodes. And when you feel like getting over it, you get over it. And everybody needs to get over it. And if I say something, then I'm creating a problem. Nisa, you're a problem. No, I'm not. I'm
Right.
just telling you what's going on.
Right.
But the older one, I really carried it with her. I'm telling you, to this very day, few weeks ago, I had to really set boundaries. With the other one, the narcissist one, that with the mental illness, I'll just call her Chucky. I don't deal with Chucky anymore. Up to last year, I just had to stop because I'm 62 now. Chucky's 64. It ain't no fixing this now, right? Give it to Jesus and let it be. But see, we talking about this right now, y'all. But y'all be sure before we get to the end of this, we're gonna talk about some solutions. See, because you can get in here, we can have forgiveness, we can have
Mhm.
solutions. But this realness of where you are, don't guilt yourself. I used to feel bad, the oldest, especially when my mom died. Now it all hit the fan when my mother died. We'll get to that part. But when you know that when somebody's dealing with mental illness, I was taking that on. But even her therapist had to tell me, Denise, you deserve to set boundaries. I can't carry another person's
Mhm.
mental when I'm dealing with my own. My own heart was broken. I done been through enough stuff in my
Mhm.
life. Two-time breast survivor, cancer, two divorces, honey. But thank God the king came. But until I had to get my own house in order, I cannot carry your mental distress. And sometimes, y'all, people don't like to see you happy. So they start some
Mhm.
crap with you just so they can drag you in the valley with them. I'm going to
Right.
pause right there. I'm going to park the car right there.
Now, have you, like you said, have it ever been to where they say, "Oh, you causing the drama," or you get caught up in the middle of other people drama, but because you may make a comment or something like that, you get caught up in the midst of the
Mhm.
drama.
Yes, that has happened on numerous occasions, and that
Uh-huh.
comes from being real. See, I'm
Right.
not fake, I'm not phony, I don't play games. I love people to be straight shooter with me. You tell me the truth, I'm gonna tell you the truth. If I need to have my coat pulled, I'm here for it. See, I got a couple good girlfriends that'll do that for me. I
Right.
hope they checking it out right now. Queen Wanda, Queen Zenaida, and you, my queen. Y'all can pull my coat. Let me know what's going on. But you got some people that don't love, but even in loving kindness. They
Mhm.
don't enjoy, they don't like being corrected. They just want to run amok, create confusion, and then tell you that you're the bad guy. See, that's called gaslighting. They want to gaslight you and blow smoke up your bum and just to try to control you. But
Right.
see, some of us aren't going to do that. And then that sets it off. They upset now. They going to ghost you and not talk to you. But that's okay. I still have my peace. Then they come, well, the Chucky would come back and say, the Lord told me to take God. Don't keep putting God on it. Don't lie on the Lord. God did not tell you to act like that. He didn't tell you to be pretending and coming like this. Stop it. And see,
Right.
they don't like it though when you tell the truth, but that's who I am. I love being in a circle, especially with women that can be honest. My husband can be honest with me. We're honest with each other. We definitely don't gaslight each other. And,
Mhm.
and, and I think when we first met, we had a couple things, but it wasn't even about me and him. It was about some other body people. But
Mhm.
I said, no, we're not gonna do none of that. You
And what
gotta
you
hold
just
your
said,
ground.
I just
Hmm?
love what you just said though, because you was like, you don't, y'all not gas, like you keeping it real and letting the person know. And I think that honestly is what a lot of times what people can't take. A lot of times people can dish it, but they can't take it. And if you be honest with the person and tell a person really how you feel, people just have a problem with you being honest with them. And so I think that what you think about that? Like, what if these people really had those hard conversations? Do you think it really would be drama if people can have those kind of conversations?
I think initially it might. Because if you have been the one that has been gaslighted, you've been the so-called black sheep of the family because you're not going along with the chaos, right? You'll
Mhm.
be on sometimes you can be on the outside. Like I said, I had a little bitty family, so I knew sometimes I was on the other side of the fence, but I was on that other side of the fence taking care of my sick mother. I was on the other side of that fence going to a racist job. So I had a lot of pressure on me. So I felt like the family should be a safe place, to be honest, but a
Mhm.
lot of times it's not. So when I told the truth, it was easier for them to say, I'm the problem, rather than
Mhm.
to look at themselves. But you
Right.
can't let that worry you. Only thing you can control is your behavior. Will you continue to accept this behavior? See,
Mhm.
that's when the boundaries come. And they
Mhm.
wasn't they, honest to God, let me just keep it a buck. They wasn't imparting enough inside of me in order for me to keep taking that just foolishness, harassment, and nonsense. If
Mhm.
you're not imparting anything into me and you don't feel like I'm imparting anything into you, then why are we still connected?
Right.
That's what it had to come down to, because that's relationships that I have outside my family. And so
Mhm.
I had to bring that inside of the house. And
Mhm.
you're not going to gaslight me and tell me, especially when I know I'm coming in loving kindness. I'm
Right.
trying to speak peace. Girl, one time I wanted to call Iyanla Van Zant and say, come fix our life.
That's so funny. I was saying that about my family. I was like, well, I said nobody will probably show up if
They
I.
wouldn't show up because they know y'all are gonna get to the bottom of it, girl. She'll clear the house. She'll be smacking tables and checking everybody. And I
Right.
was ready. I wanted to go. And girl, I said they ain't gonna show up. But girl, I used to watch that show. I say, Jesus, I wish we could get on there. And I would bring my mom in there too. But my mom was busy working 2 jobs. So I was kind of like, I ain't gonna hold you to a fault. But still, I think the parents can set the tone of how the family ought to go, unless the parent is a part of the issue, which
Mhm,
some people do have parental issues, which
mhm,
I'm not denying it. Because in the last days of my mom, I was asking my mom, why you won't check Chucky? Why
mhm,
you won't get this under subjection? And
mhm,
and and I'm like, okay, this her child. My mom, I guess my mom was in that moment trying to keep peace, but I was just like, if you ain't gonna check her, I will. But I
mhm,
wasn't afraid of her. And sometimes narcissists, they rule on fear, on anybody checking them or saying something, then they gonna blow up or they gonna shut you off or they gonna block you.
right.
I'm a blocking queen. That's childish to me. I ain't
Mhm,
gonna block nobody. I may need an emergency call from you one day and you might need me. So I
mhm.
ain't gonna block you. That's childish. Blocking? Girl, I guess I'm old school. You know me, sis. I'm 62. I don't do that. I don't do
Right.
that. If I can't
You
talk to
say
you,
that
I ain't
because
gonna
I'm
block
not
you.
going to block a person, but I know how to distance myself. So like I'm not the person who will sit here and be like, oh, I'm just blocking everybody. I'm just like, I'm
Right.
putting everybody on the block list. I'm not going to do that because God forbid there's an emergency, like you said,
Right.
and I won't know what's going on all because I'm mad. So I'm like, it's best for me. Like I feel like I deal with people accordingly. Like I know who I can talk to personally. Like, you know how you have those family members, like you got them family members that's like how they say on Martin, run tell that. Like there's those one family members that you can have those conversations with and it ain't gonna go nowhere, it's good. But then you have them other ones, if you say one thing to that person, if it gets spread around because they mouth runs like they got got the runs. They mouth just running. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
So
right.
it's like it's just gonna keep going. But then you have the ones it's like, okay, it's like I think, but for me, I think that a lot of times when the way we're all raised, I don't know, this could be wrong, but I feel like the way sometimes that we're brought up, and
Mhm,
I think that a lot of times that has a lot to do because of how the people in your circle handle situations. So if your
mhm,
parents, let's just say, this is an example, like say if your parents went through hard times and didn't have that connection of being loved, of having
mhm,
that loving support, or don't know how to handle situations and will just push things to the side, or just say, oh, I'm just going let it go, and that's just how they were, you end up doing the same thing, like, okay, I'm gonna just let it go. I'm gonna just let it go. And then you realize later on that, yeah, you might have let it go, but inside you still was feeling that pain. So it's like when the littlest thing can happen, and then you be like, oh, I'm ready to blow up. I'm gonna knock somebody out. And you like,
we
wow.
going all
And you
in.
be thinking about like, why am I so angry and this is so dumb?
Exactly. And a lot of the, like you say, it's the nurturing, it's how you come out of it. I know I remember talking to my mom about that because, like I say, my mom was my best friend. I
Mhm,
didn't really have a relationship with my dad. He brought me a few gifts a couple times, a
mhm,
bike, a coat, some clothes and stuff. I even let them ride my bike first. I'm just trying to be cool with everybody, right? And I was resented for that little bit. But with my mom, I found out that my mother and father, my grandparents, I didn't get to know them. They were deceased before I was born in
mhm,
1963. So the year I was born, my grandmother died. My grandfather had already died. But what I found out was my grandparents were not nurturers. They were hard workers, but they didn't take time to cuddle my mom and, give all of that good love and just be there. They were in survival mode. And as my mom was growing up, that's when my mom became in survival mode because she had two absentee daddies that was not on the scene, and she had 3 daughters to raise. So
mhm.
that she was in that work mode, 2 jobs, girl. My mama worked seven to 3 and 3:30 to 11. And
Mm.
then the weekends was free. But she had order in the house. We had chores. Anywhere they went, they better be with me. We had to be back at a certain time. We had to check in. But there was on the weekend is we clean the house and then I'm cleaning. I was with my mom, but that was that weekend time. But my mom was not a nurturer. So as I grew older, and then when I married a man that was not a nurturer, a therapist had to say to me, sometimes people are stuck in the area when they first met they trauma because
Mm.
they can't give you what they didn't get. So
Mm-hmm.
she was not that cuddly, huggly one, and neither was that man. And then I have to make a decision about that. But with me and my mom, like you say, even my mom maybe wasn't around a lot to see the dysfunction that me and my sisters were in, the nasty names they was calling me. And so, but then when I'm like, well, man, why don't she get them together? But she was getting us together. She was keeping the rent over our heads. She was going from an LPN to an LVN to an RN, trying to do school, fighting to get into college in St. Louis and baby apartheid. It was a lot of pressure. So,
Mm-hmm.
like you are so right, the way that the units are raised, and then my husband and his brothers, they are so tight. They just love each other. They all call. They be on phone calls. Girl, I even got another. We had the VR thing. He got his other brother one, so they can go fishing together, and they just have that unity. But that's what they mom instilled in them. She
Mm-hmm.
wasn't having that, and she was a teacher too. But
Mm-hmm.
I look at them and I be like, wow. I told him what our topic was today. I said, yeah, I know you can't even relate to this family drama. So you just go. You go on over there and sit down. I got this one.
Right. And it's so funny because I laugh because when me and you talk, and I'd be like, oh my God, we have so much things in common. And just now I just realized we had something else in common because
What?
you just made a comment and you just said when you were born, you really didn't know your grandparents because they died when you were born. Both
Yeah.
my mom's mom and my dad's mom were passed away before I really got. I'm like my dad's mother. She actually passed away the year I was born. My mom's mom died way before I even was thought of. So it's like I never got to meet neither one of my grandmothers because of the fact
Oh,
they both, and I said, that's crazy that you said that. And I'm like, oh my God, that is something else that,
that we
and I,
have in common.
and
And
I said,
here's the other nutty thing. The
mm-hmm,
sister mother, the grandmother on the side of my two siblings, their grandmother was Grandma Katie. And her and my mom was so close. My mom just loved her to life. We just loved Grandma Katie to life. That was the grandmother that I knew that really was not even my blood grandmother. Girl,
mm-hmm,
we even looked alike. And I mean, I just loved her to life. She
right.
lived to 102, but she was my other person. My mom and Grandma Katie was my women in my life. And my Aunt Louise, I
Mm-hmm,
loved her to life. And she led a rough life with a rough husband. But we gotta have one about that too, about abuse one day. But I
mm-hmm,
loved them. Them was the strong women in my life, but I did not get to know my blood grandmother. And I didn't know the blood grandmother or grandfather on my dad's side. I started looking them up through the thing on the tree, and I was just like, nah, I'm gonna let that be. If you didn't know me by now, you never will ever know me. Okay.
Yeah, that song say, if you know me
Me right now.
now. but
You would never, 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 ever know me. Okay.
it's
And
so
that's how I used to protect myself too. I said, my dad didn't get to know me. That's okay. And I
mm-hmm,
say, my mom is my mom and my dad. It's too bad he didn't get to know me. And at one point, because we was in the same town. But when I
right.
got saved and God delivered me from that, he said, you may not have known your daddy, but I'm your father. And I
Mm-hmm.
got that sense of peace came over me. And God also had to explain to me that my mother was not my father. There's a difference.
Mm-hmm,
A father is a father and a mother is a mother. And she
right.
stood in the gap for me, but that wasn't the same. And I had to forgive him for that absenteeness. But fathers
Right.
need to know your daughters need you because,
Mm-hmm.
honey, we get some daddy complexes and some stuff can start going on. But I had to come to that peace. That was the forgiveness with the father and wrote him a note, girl. It was good. All right, I digress.
Right. Now, do you think with family drama, do you think that hits harder than friend drama?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because like I said in the beginning, the family drama burns and hurts so hard because that's supposed to be the safe place. Like
Mm-hmm.
I always tell my sissy Z and my sister Wanda, I want to be your safe place to fall. and
Right.
friend in the friend zone because we blood like sisters. That
Mm-hmm.
was the thing. I'm doing all this panic and crying, and I just want a relationship with my sisters. I just wanted to be. Girl, when I got done with that, you know what God said? I'm gonna send you some sisters. And
Mm-hmm.
and family ain't necessarily blood.
Right.
Girl, and we love each other to life, but it stings so hard because for me, in my experience, in my logic, family is supposed to be where the fence is, where
Mm.
the hedge is, and ain't nobody supposed to be able to jump this fence and get in here fooling with none of us. Because
Right.
you off with one of us, you off with all of us. That's my sense of loyalty. Am I off? And I'm
Mm.
from St. Louis, so that's kind of my vibe. If this my family, we down together. If you don't rock with my sister, you ain't rocking with me. But my sister Chucky was total opposite. Anybody that was against me, she could be with them. And that
Mm-hmm.
was like weird to me. Like, how you my sister and you rocking with somebody against me? But
Mm.
that's loyalty. That's another subject. But to answer your question, the outside stuff with friends can sting a little bit, but the family betrayal to me is a hot, scorching fire. And
Mm.
it burns, it hurts. And that's I kept forgiving that. I kept forgiving and still trying to give it a chance. But
Mm-hmm.
after a while, you start saying, damn, you really don't like me. You
Mm-hmm.
really, this my family member does not like me. And,
Mm-hmm.
and, and, and I hate to say jealousy, but sometimes it's jealousy. It's
Mm-hmm.
hatred. It's real. So, okay, I gotta face that fact. And
Right.
that's what I was told that I stopped it with Chucky and I told the other sibling, the way that you treat me is disrespectful. Like we said, the name of this was respect. If
Mm.
you can't respect me and treat me with respect and all that I'm pouring into you, that I'm loving on you and covering you financially, spiritually,
Mm.
emotionally, then you don't get access to me like that. We can
Right.
communicate. You can call the husband and be sure everybody's good. But right now, I need space. I will love you from a distance, but
Mm-hmm.
ain't nobody, not nobody, gonna keep disrespecting me because I don't give it. I do not disrespect others.
Right.
I'm a loving, kind person, but hey, don't let the bling fool you.
Right. And that's like I'm a little double with that because I'm like I've always like even with my daughter, like I know sometimes they do this whole gang and all this other kind of thing. And it's like with their whole like where you were saying, like you don't want if it's somebody who's not fooling with somebody else. I don't get into that. Like, cause I feel like for me, I'm a little different. I feel like just because you might have a problem with this person, especially if we're family, I don't feel like
Mhm.
I'm supposed to stop dealing with the person all because you have an issue with that person if that person didn't do anything to me. Like I just
Okay,
know, like
that's good.
I will be respectful. Like I won't do something where as though I feel like okay, I'm going to put y'all in the same bubble and make y'all uncomfortable. However, I'm just not going to be like, oh, I'm never speaking to that because you not talking to this person. Like I just can't do that because at the end of the day, I just feel like we all are family, and until I have an issue with you, like it is one thing, but for me to just stop being communicating with you and stop being friendly all because somebody else is having an issue with you, I just don't do that. Like for
No,
me,
sis, that's good. That's a good point. Now that's a good point because but for me, I was thinking of it like outside of the family. Because
right,
if it's the inner thing in the family, then you want that to be resolved.
right, right.
That's the kind of peacemaker I am. I'm like, is there some kind of way that you work it out? And like I
Mhm,
said, I got the little bitty family, right? And the sibling Chucky is the one with the children. But
mhm,
when Chucky would get mad at me, Chucky would not allow her grown children now. She used to do this stuff when they were younger, but now that they're good and grown, they
mhm,
can't communicate with me. So to me, that's ignorant,
mhm.
that's silly because we've been going through this mess. They've been seeing us go through this mess all day life. But now
Mhm.
you'll tell your children they can't communicate with me. But guess what? You done saved me a lot of money. I don't be cash apping a damn thing. I ain't helping pay nobody rent. I ain't buying no tires for no cars because I don't have children. I got a fur baby, okay, and a guy and a bonus daughter who grown.
Right,
But
right.
your three grown-ups who don't want to communicate with me, that's fine. But to
Mhm,
me, that's more dysfunction. That's
mhm.
another level of dysfunction that you're bringing the children into. But
Right.
no, I got you. If the foolishness didn't
Mhm.
have nothing to do with me, then I ain't gonna be cutting everybody off.
And
No,
that's
I'm thinking
another
about some
thing with that.
strangers in the street crap.
Right. And that's another thing that you said when it comes to the foolishness, because, like, say for instance, when it comes to like parenting, like we said, when it comes to mothers and fathers, I think that that is also something that a lot of people need to be careful on when it comes to what you're telling your children. Because yes, you may not have a relationship with that man, or you may not have a relationship with that woman, and that man or woman may not be doing what they're supposed to do as a parent for that child. However, don't bash that person in front of that child, because then you're putting your unwanted issues onto the child.
On
I
them.
always say, let that child grow up and see who that person is for who they are. Like, I've had issues with my child father before, and I used to be like, and I still do. But however, it's never going to be a thing where I will sit down with my child and be like, boom, boom, boom. I'm not doing that. I let her
Right.
see it for herself, because, like I always say, people ain't going. Sometimes people just don't change. So if it's like that, that person, she's going to see it as she get older, and then when she get older, it's going to be. I want her to make that decision on if she want to deal with it or not want to deal with it. I don't want that to come from the things that I'm saying. And I
Your
think that
inner.
a lot of grown people, I think, are wrong for doing that. When they have an issue with their partner, they put that, still that negativity all the time, because sometimes their relationships actually can turn. Like, y'all might have had, they might have been a bad or whatever may go wrong. But if you keep, like, one thing my child can never say is, I used to sit there even when nothing was being done right. Did you call them? Did you say happy birthday? Did you say happy Father's Day? What I mean? I still was
Yeah.
that person, because of the fact I never wanted it to be where I was dissing and dogging, and that opinion was like, oh, I kept them away. No, I never kept it away.
Wow. Wow.
Even when you're not doing nothing that you're supposed to be doing, I'm still making sure that relationship is there. I'm
That
still making sure
connection.
that communication is there. So there could never be a conversation where I kept my child away. You know what I mean? I think
Oh,
that
that's
people
good.
need to change that, and because that is very, very bad in households, I believe, when it
Yes,
comes
I love that, sis. That's a mic drop right there. I like that the way you said that without dissing and dogging.
to. Hmm.
Because and see, with my mom, that's the way my mom never spoke ill of my dad and never spoke ill of them, even my sister's fathers when they weren't there. Matter of
Right.
fact, she used to always tell me to keep in touch, be there, made it available if I need to keep in touch. But the thing was, and you just laid out the whole scenario when I
Hmm.
was getting ready to get married and he was in the same town. I think I was 20 years old then, 19 actually. Girl, that crazy marriage was 19, that first one. So my mom was encouraging me. I wanted my dad to give me away at the wedding. And we
Hmm.
never really had a really strong relationship, but I knew he was still alive. He's in the same town. That's my moment trying to reach out. But he didn't even do that. So he showed me who he really was in that moment. So I
Hmm.
learned that for myself. And my goddad, Dad Grover, gave me away, walked me down the aisle. But in that moment, that was painful. But my mama never said a negative word about that man. Never, never, never. So that's very powerful. We don't want to carry that into the next generation,
Right.
not dragging the next number of family members into it because they don't have nothing to do with it.
Right.
But like I say, I think with Chucky and my sibling, it's this false sense of loyalty. And again, the narcissism gotta
Right.
control everybody. If you ain't with me, then you don't get to say nothing to her. But
Right.
honey, like I said,
I
girl,
think
you done
everybody
saved me
has
a
one of
lot of
them in
money.
the family where they have that one person who feel like they are the what you call it, the dictator of the family. Like, they feel like they can tell everybody what to do.
They're narcissists and they don't even know that's what they are. They
Every
call
family
them
has one
narcs.
of them. Like, I'm in charge.
They,
Like, you
they, they call they call them narcs.
yes, I think
Everybody's
a
scared
lot
of
of
them
people
too.
have one
People
of
be
them.
scared of them.
Right.
They're afraid. They're afraid they gonna get blocked, or
Right.
either they gonna start dogging them out, so everybody gets scared. But if you do not correct a narcissist, in my
Mhm.
opinion, I think you setting them up for a bad life. And
Right.
especially if they young now and they think that's how they gonna go through life, trying to control other people. And if it don't go my way, it's the highway, or
Right.
I'm gonna start blocking everybody and locking it down and getting ugly and spinning like a Tasmanian devil. No, You are in for heartache, my friend. And if those are your children, check them now. If they're
Right.
your family members, whomever they are, at
Mm-hmm.
one moment, I'm going to share this moment with you. My mom lived with me the last 10 years of her life, right? Moved her from St. Louis out to Cali. My mom had some congestive heart failure. She ended up having Parkinson's disease. But my mama didn't drive, honey. She didn't cook. She didn't worry about nothing. She was fly and fabulous. She was dressed, girl. Wait, there's a picture of her up there on the wall. See her up there? My mom was fly, honey. She was a fly diva. And but I live with her. But then while I'm taking care of my mom, working this job, getting help from my older sister, who, she was mentally ill, but she
Right.
took care of my mom. She took her to the doctor's appointments when I was at work, and I took care of her when I got home. Chucky, on the other hand, over here wasn't doing nothing but flipping around, calling herself an evangelist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll pray about that. But anyway, the fact of the matter was that the one time that I had a disagreement with my mom is that my mom was attempting to manipulate me. And so she's doing this manipulative behavior. And it was really, really weird because that's not her energy. That's not her spirit. We love God and that's who we are. But I know that manipulation is a form of witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
So in that moment, I had to check my mom, my
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, beautiful mother. I had to sit down and have a one-to-one with her and say, Mom, what you're doing right now is not okay. And
Mm-hmm.
it's manipulation, and I'm not going to go with this. This is
Right.
not going to work in our home. So we're going to check that right now because manipulation is a form of witchcraft, and I know that's not who you are. Girl,
Mm-hmm.
my mom looked at me and she was like, okay. Okay.
That's good. And
Okay.
it's crazy because with like my mom is a little different. Like people who know my mom, she could be off the chain. It's like she's one of those women that can just be off the chain. But it's like when you come to like sometimes when it comes to telling like with some telling people stuff when it comes to mothers or even with some you just can't like you can try to have that conversation, but sometimes people get
Okay.
so stuck in their ways that they just feel like I've been this way for so many. You hear that conversation of I've been this way since.
Right.
I've been doing this since. I've been this, and so it becomes a thing where people don't want to change. But one of the things that you touched on where you talk about like being an evangelist and that type of stuff is another thing that I kind of like look at is everybody in families they go through life in general, not even just
Mhm,
families, but period in the world. We all go through things. And
mhm,
everybody has that moment where they grow up, they get older, they get wiser. You might be that young person turning up in the clubs, popping about, doing whatever you're doing, but then you get older and you change your life.
mhm.
That's awesome. However, when you change your life and you feel like you hit that moment, you can't now start dissing everybody who's still doing the things that you used to do. When you was and you was doing like you can't be like, oh well, I know you ain't out there drinking. Sis, you was drinking before. Like
We were drinking together.
like you can't get into the like I just feel like sometimes people sometimes get into they want to they get into the church and I feel like that sometimes they take that and they just feel like okay now that I found I'm changing my life around that now everybody around them is going to do a 360 and it doesn't just work like that like you had to get to that level to grow you have to allow people to get to that level to grow. Now you can still give them advice, you know what I mean, because you have that wisdom. You're older.
Yeah, because you've been there.
You can't just start thinking because now you might have stopped drinking, smoking, or doing whatever you was doing, and now everybody around you going to stop because you did.
Okay, this is such a beautiful segment to discuss too,
Right.
because you know me, and I tell anybody, I was a functional addict. Okay, I
Mhm.
was a functional bud addict. I loved me some Remy Martin and some ginger ale and some Crown Royal. Yes, I did, and it was very functional. Okay, but even when I used to see Chucky, this before I had got saved, when
Mhm.
I saw my sibling Chucky in the church. But again, still, like I say, God was always covering me from birth till this very day. He didn't have a call on my life in a hand, right?
Right.
Covering me through all of this. But when I used to look at her as an example of a Christian, it was kind of like, wow,
Mhm.
wow. And then at some point, I was like, well, I don't want to be like her. No,
Mhm.
because that's kind of shady. But that's why even when we accept God into our lives and we want to be a living witness and
Right.
be an apostle and be what he calls us to do, to just share the gospel, you
Mhm.
gotta just give people grace to do it in their time. But
Mhm.
when you live in your life and you be in that example, that's beautiful.
Right.
But not to condemn anybody because you've already been there. And
Mhm.
I know it for a fact. And that's why when I was in the midst of that, when I needed help with my mom, I was like, how can you not even, you calling yourself an evangelist, but you won't cover your mom? But
Mhm.
then God had to tell me, don't worry about it. I see everything. What
Mhm.
are you doing? How am I covering this? And I had to turn that loose. That was a part of the forgiveness. Let it go. But I'm blessed enough that God done gave me a 5 bedroom, three bathroom house that my
Mhm.
mom got a whole like apartment down here in the house, a $900,000 house that I got for 263. See, that's who my God is, because the Bible say, honor your mother and your father, and your days will be long amongst this
Right.
upon this earth. I didn't know dad, but honey, I honored mom. And I
Right.
did what I needed to do. But you making such a good point that as we want to shine our lights and be the disciple in the world, sharing the good news. That's what God's telling me. Why am I sitting on this? I got real talk with Mrs. Day all day. Now we got unfiltered and unbothered. We've been to share the word to let women know that stand up, God's got you. We have so many gifts and talents because we can't let all of this weight from family drama, dysfunction, and sometimes people want you in the pit with them. And
Mhm.
my sister friend, right now, I see that she said that Evangelist Glover is watching with me. Girl, I get chills right now when I think
Mhm.
about her. That is my sister in Christ. That's my dear friend. When God said, I'm gonna send you some sisters. We have been
Mhm.
connected since through so much. And when the time when I was going through the divorce and I was taking care of mom and I was about to break, and me and her went to a convention together. Girl, I had not been smoking cigarettes in like 18 years. Do you know
Wow.
I showed up there? I was smoking cigarettes. I was stressed out, and she didn't convict me. She didn't say nothing bad about me. She laid hands on me and prayed with me.
Mhm.
Girl, and then that same convention, girl, I saw her run a demon out the church too. Girl,
Mhm.
it was just so good. But God will give you what you need in those moments. And right now, she just laid her daughter to rest. She
Mhm.
did the eulogy at her daughter's funeral and stood
Wow.
up and talked about forgiveness, talked about how God had to cleanse her heart
Mhm.
because you got to be ready before you see him.
Right.
Girl, it's so much going on. We got to get it together, and we can't be bogged down by other people's drama.
Right. And the thing what you said, that's the biggest thing, is forgiveness. And that is one of the things that we as people do not do a lot of. We say, and I didn't know until, like you say, you have your sister friend. Like, it's one person. I don't even, like, she's my girlfriend, but I call her like a sister. And we don't even talk every day. But if I pick up the phone and talk to her at any given time, like, she's like the greatest. And she will give me the advice. She will be honest with me, and that is one thing that I love about her. And she was one of those people that me and her were talking. She was like, Nisi, she said, you have, at the time, she was telling me, you're not forgiving. She was like, you don't have that forgiveness. And she said, you may say that you forgive, but you really haven't. And I was like, what? I was like, yeah, but I let it go. She was like, no, you haven't. It's still hurting you. And she said, and that's why those little things bother you. And I had to start looking into myself and was like, oh my God, I didn't. So I had to do some healing on my own. And that's the thing,
Yeah.
sometimes what people don't do is they don't start digging into themselves or having that person that they can talk to that will really be straightforward and honest with them, because they so used to having those pom-poms going for them even when they're doing something that don't make no sense. They want that crowd around them that's
Mm.
gonna be like, yeah, you need to be, yeah, you should say, yeah. No, you need that person that's gonna be like, yo, sis, that ain't what you need to be doing. And a lot of times people don't have that around them, and that's what make them keep going. And I think
Oh
that
my
is a problem.
God. That is fire, sis. That
Right.
is fire. And on one of my podcasts coming up on Real Talk, we heard me and Evangelist Glover did a podcast a while back. But Queen, I hope you hear me now. We're gonna do another one. She
Mm-hmm.
gonna come on and she gonna do that one on forgiveness because it just sent chills up my back. Because prior to this, I had understood it, but at the homegoing service, girl,
Mm-hmm.
she broke this thing down. She said she was asking God, she asked God, why did you not take me when God, took her daughter? Her daughter had went through a long situation of illness. Evangelist Glover is on the wall praying, all kind of fire and Tasmanian devils breaking out around her. But she told me, she said, sis, I can't come down off this wall. I'm praying for my daughter. But in that moment when she said, she asked God, why didn't you take me instead of her? You know what she said? The Lord said, because you're not ready. You
Mm-hmm.
got unforgiveness in your heart. That's why I can't take you right now. Oh, glory. I
Oh,
said, whoa. And so she went on to break all of that down about the unforgiveness. And she said, you know how people are always saying, yeah, I forgive, but I don't forget. She said, you
mm-hmm.
better forget it because if you don't, you still got it in there. It's in the recesses of your spirit. And my Bishop Hamilton, long time ago, taught me how you could forgive a person without them saying a word. You could let that person know, I forgive you for whatever it is that you did to me. I forgive you for that thing. And I need you to forgive me for every foul thing, everything or anything that I ever did to you. Forgive me for that thing. Because some people got stuff made up in their mind up against you too. You don't even know what it is. So whatever that thing is, you forgive me for that. And I forgive you for every foul thing that you ever did, whatever it was, whatever that thing was, and we lay it right here at the altar and walk off. The people ain't got to say nothing. I just forgave
Right.
them, asked them to forgive me, and I didn't ask them for a word. A lot of time, people holding on, waiting for apologies.
Mm-hmm.
Some people ain't gonna give you that apology. They want you wrapped up in a knot. But do not allow people to hold you hostage behind their drama because you're not going to get your prayer past the ceiling and you certainly not going to meet your Savior. Because he said, don't come to me with that. He said, before you bring me a gift, you lay that down at the altar.
Right.
You go back, get your brother and your sister, and y'all work that thing out. If you got to bring a witness. See, some people, you need a witness because they be lying, okay? So take a witness and go back and straighten it out. Long as you're clean in your heart, you got no control if they received it, whatever they said. That ain't your business. That's what I had to do with Chucky. And I had to set a boundary with my other sister. And I love y'all, but y'all gonna be on the other side of this fence. And if I want to open the gate, but I learned I'm opening the gate. But just love them. I can wave over the fence. I can
Right.
see you. I can pray. See, every morning I'm praying. So I'm giving it to God. It's not
Right.
Niecy's responsibility
Mm-hmm.
anymore. That's our problem. We think we got to settle
Mm-hmm.
everything and be everything for everybody. But see, I done learned in 62 years as I've given money, given my heart, given my time. And the same people don't even care if I'm dead or alive. It's okay because the real ones, the Wandas, the Francis Glover, the Desnitas, the Denises, my husband, my dog
Right.
cares if I show up or
Mm-hmm.
not.
Right.
We got to let it rest.
It's so sad when people, another thing people need to stop doing is when people are going through something with someone, stop listening to their conversation on that other person that they have a problem with, because a lot of times they start pre having preconceptions of a person off of somebody else and they don't hardly even know what happened or nothing about what that person got
Oh,
going on. And that is something that people need to stop doing a lot, because you'll have a conversation with someone or you and that person may beef, but then you still, they don't know the story. It's between y'all two
right.
what that beef is, but then you go talking to the other person like, oh, such and such is this, 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 and that person don't really know you, or even if they do know, they sitting there pre like having this preconcept, like saying like, oh, you this and you that, but they don't know you. They only know what this
I
person is telling them about
told
you.
you.
And I remember I went through this. This was I would say I would say probably like, it's been a few, I would say about last year maybe, where I went through something with someone, and I'm like not the big, like I try to, I'm gonna stop saying trying because we've been learning.
Yes, we don't say
So
that.
we going, and so I'm going to do better when it comes to social media. And I was not the best at it before, but I'm getting better when it came to social media. So I'm not always on there to see everything. I put my little posts out and different things, but then I'm coming off because I'm busy. I'm working,
Right.
I'm doing different stuff. So it's like I'm not monitoring it like that. So one time I got a call and my mom was like, "Do you know such and such said?" And I'm just like, "What?" And so then she's like, "Did you see it?" And I'm like, "No." So now I'm looking. I'm just like, "Really?" And so I stepped back and I was just like, "Okay." Now I see with me, I've learned that I have matured because I was like, you know what? I could have blast this person. I could have
With ham.
what the person actually did and what the person I could have showed receipts. But I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to do all of that. I'm just going to keep my distance from the person. And I was just
Yeah.
like, I'll do that, keep my distance, but I'm still going to be who I am. If that person
Right.
call me and say anything business related, anything that has to do with anything going on, I'm still going to be respectful. I'm still going to get
Yes.
I'm still going to be me. I'm just going to squash it because I'm better than that. And I was like, however,
Right.
I just know how to deal with that person. And that's why I say sometimes when it comes to outside people, that's why I asked that question when it comes to friends versus family, because to me, I sometimes feel like it's harder for me to sometimes distance myself when it comes to family opposed to when it comes to outsiders. Because if it's an outsider, I don't have to deal with you. I don't,
Wow.
because we grew up, I guess the way I grew up with my family. My cousins, we were the ones at our sleepovers. We were doing everything.
Right.
We were so our family is like a close knit family. So it's like when it comes to us being together and stuff, it's kind of hard for me to be like, I ain't never talking to that person ever. It's hard because like I'm not at first. Like I might get upset, but it's like, okay, I'm going to see this cousin again. I'm going to move, or I'm going to see this aunt. I'm going to see this uncle. It's never going to be a thing where I'm not going to see these people. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because we're going to still go to family function. I'm not going to stop going to things that has to deal with the family just because I'm mad at a person that's at the family function. You see what I'm saying? So
Right. Right. Right.
do that every single time. And I'm just like, our people are getting older when it comes to
Yes.
my dad is 80 years old now. My mom is, she be soon 75. So it's just like when
Right.
your parents is getting older and your siblings and your cousins, everybody
Let
getting
it
older,
go.
it's hard to be sitting here like holding on to this anger.
Holding grudges.
It's just like, okay, how are we gonna fix it? That's my thing. Like,
Okay.
we talked about what's the problem. Now, how are we going to fix this problem? And that's what I
Yes.
want to know now. Like, I want to know how can we
Okay.
come together and we can say, okay, this happened, this bothered you. I understand that. When can we have those conversations where we can sit down and be honest and say, this is really truly bothered me. You hurt me when you did X, Y, and Z. This
Yes.
really like cut something in me. I don't like when you do that. Can we not do that again? Or how can we fix this? Like when can we have
Yes.
those kind of conversations without it being where a person feel like they have to go above and above? And I remember a couple months ago, I was sitting back and I seen family members going back and forth on social, and I was like, "Is this for real? Is we not
Wow.
grown on social media? Are y'all arguing on
They
social?"
took it to the YouTube and the Facebook street.
I was just like, this can at that time, honestly, I was just like, I don't even want to see because it kept ding, ding, ding. I was like, oh no, let me just disconnect. I disconnected because I didn't even want to see. I didn't even want to know what
Wow.
anybody else was saying at that point because it was like it was too much. And I'm just like, when you become at a certain age, it's like, when does that childish stuff stop? When
When
can you
does it
sit
stop?
down and have those serious conversations?
I think, okay, now here's two things because I'm feeling convicted right here and I'm going to tell on myself in a minute. But the first thing that you were saying about when you got the person that's coming back and they'll be sharing the details with you about what somebody else said.
Mm-hmm,
My first lady used to always say, if somebody comes back and gives you a message about something somebody else said about you, in
mm-hmm.
that moment, just stop and ask them, what were you saying when they said that?
Exactly that part.
Right? That part. When they was going in on me, what were you saying? and
Mhm.
they will be shocked, and either they gonna tell you the truth, either they defended you, or they just gonna be stunned and they gonna swerve and they gonna try to get out of it. So to me, now that I'm bringing that back to discernment. A lot
Mhm.
of times when people already prejudge people, they're not using discernment, if you ask me. Because if you took your time to get to know me, then you would instantly know that I have a heart of service, that I'm a really cool person. Anything I'm knowing, I want to share with you. But if
Mhm.
you really just didn't like me and you just want to look at me and be looking at her with them blingy glasses, look at her with them purple lips, you can find anything to be not liking somebody. But if
Right.
you really want to get to a heart of a person, start asking God to give you discernment, not just on people, but everything, on
Mhm.
decisions that you're making in your life, on family, friends, business, whatever. Start using your discernment, and you don't have to take no secondhand stuff, right? Because
Mhm.
everybody got some secondhand stuff they want to pull you into. But
Right.
our thing is coming out of the valley now. We don't want to keep staying down here in the valley. He said, yea, though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you're not going to fear no evil. He didn't say go down there and die. He said, yea, though I walked. Come
Mhm.
on up out of here and start letting forgiveness go. So, as we're talking about this forgiveness conversation, one of my only blood cousins that I deal with was cousin Jay. I'll just call him cousin Jay over
Mhm.
there in Arizona. And me and him was really tight because the other cousins, I don't really associate with them. It's a few more of them because,
Mhm.
we had a small family. I got some adopted cousins. They cool. And one or two of them I deal with. But my blood cousin, he got a brother that he really don't deal with. He would tell me about they squabbles and they break out in their family. I don't really
Mhm.
know them, but me and him was tight. Me, him, my we tight. But all of a sudden, though, after I had this fallout with Chucky, because I'm gonna talk about this on Real Talk with Mrs. Day, the real
Mhm.
unforgiveness came when my mom died. Things got really ugly. Chucky jumped
Mhm.
in. Oh, it was a mess. It was a whole mess. And I thank God that's around the time when me and my husband was getting tight, and his spirit lifted me. Oh my God. I ain't catching no cases, girl. I
Mhm.
ain't go to jail. None of that. But me and cousin
Mhm.
Chucky knew what was going on with Chucky. But out of his mouth one day, he
Mhm.
just slipped and let me know that he was talking to Chucky. So instantly
Mhm.
something came up in me like I had been betrayed by him. Like, what you and if you talk
Mhm.
to Chucky, are you telling Chucky what me and you talking about? How much of my business are you talking
Mhm.
about with Chucky? But that's what the enemy was revving up in
Mhm.
my head. I can't trust him. If
Right.
he's talking to her, why are you talking to him? And so things kind of had
Right.
became a little distant. I think I kind of had a conversation with him about it, but I didn't really have the real heart to heart to let him know how I'm really feeling. So, as my sister Evangelist Glover would say, that ain't all the way cleaned out. I haven't all the
Mhm.
way cleaned that out of my heart, and I need to clear it up because on the 4th of July, I thought about him, but I deliberately didn't call him.
Mhm.
And he's sick, his wife's sick. He be calling on me when I'm sick. He be telling Alice, I got to know how my cousin's doing. So I
Mhm.
need to clean that up. I need to
Right.
rectify that. So I would say that to everybody under sound of our voices. If you know you got something that you need to give forgiveness with and let it go, if the person, we can't control what the other people do, how they receive it, but for you, cleanse your heart so you be good. For me, it's with my Lord and Savior,
Right.
whoever your creator is, your higher power, and I hope he's God for you, then
Mhm.
clear it up because this petty stuff and the enemy will get in there and exude it. He'll amplify it. It'll
Mhm.
get bigger than what it was. Because
Right.
who am I to be telling another grown man who he can talk to? That's his cousin too.
Right.
I was out of the box for that, but it just made me feel away. But
Mhm.
that be me with loyalty. You know what I mean? I got to check that.
Hmm. And that's the
Yeah.
thing where a lot of people is all about like, oh, you with me, you with me, and that's what a lot of people go through when it comes to that. If y'all listening on here, I want y'all, if y'all had some stuff y'all want to talk about, put it in the chat. Let's go ahead and put it in the chat. Let's talk about it. Let's drop them bombs out there. But what I want to say is, okay, let's just say, how do you stay unbothered though when folks try to bring you back to the drama that you tried to outgrow?
Oh, that's a good one. I look at my husband and I tell my husband, baby, these people just don't want me to be great today. They don't want me to be great. They try to make me go way back to the STL. And when you get the tingling, your feet get hot, and it
Mhm.
start raising up to your ears. Those moments, I really have to be to feel disrespected, because
Mhm.
one of my triggers is disrespect.
Right.
And that's what I felt growing up. I was disrespected from inside the house by my siblings. I was not going to be disrespected by people outside the house.
Mhm.
And my mom always taught me how to have a voice. You
Mhm.
speak up for yourself. Walk in the room, look people in the eye, do this firm handshake. If you're
Mhm.
not itching, don't start scratching. If you ain't walking your feet, don't be shuffling. So I'm not that the bow head kind of person, but I stand up for myself. I speak so loud and clear. Maybe because I do have something to say, but I want to be heard. And
Right.
I give that same respect to other people. And I'll give you an opportunity to get it straight
Mhm.
before you catch it.
Right.
Because you're not going to get too many opportunities to be disrespecting me. I'll be like, well, hold on.
Mhm.
Let's talk about this. Let's get an understanding. And you know what I always lead with? In the Bible says, in all of your ways, get an understanding.
Mhm.
You don't understand, because I don't understand why you talking to me like this. I don't understand if I've done something to offend you, but
Mhm.
give me the opportunity to fix it, and then we can be good. But if it continues to escalate, then I can get there with you. But I desire not to. At this stage in my life, in this queendom in which I reign,
Mhm.
Queen, they don't want to get to scrapping with me, but I can get with you. And I think sometimes we just got to let them know we can get with you, but I'd rather work with you than
Mhm.
get at you.
Right.
But we're not going to do any and everything, not to me.
Mhm.
And you're not gonna do it to my husband. I told my husband, and hey, in this day and age, girl, I pray. I ran into a Karen one time, and I
Mhm.
got her straightened right out, and we was in a public place, had to escalate a little bit, but honey, I don't
Mhm.
want to play games with people, but I just think that some people need to know that you can get with them, but you rather work with them instead of get at them. Does that make sense?
That's so true. And that's like a situation I was telling you, like even with someone else that I was telling you about recently with the situation with I was talking about the brothers or whatever. And I was saying how sometimes not understanding somebody is like can really damper a lot.
Mhm.
Because I don't want to give too much because I don't want people like, oh, I know who
Right.
it is. but two like they were going through this war, and I'm like, it was just so crazy because of the fact that it was all off of. To me, I think it becomes when somebody was misunderstanding the person, and
Okay.
understanding instead of coming to the person to say, okay, what does this mean? Why did you send this to me? Or why did you give this to me
Uh,
so you can get that understanding? Instead, they were listening to the noise. And sometimes when you outside, and just like you said, when people die, a lot of times all hell break loose.
oh
And so a
yeah.
lot of times when people pass away and there's things that's left or things going on, there's like so many people who, want to fight, 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 fight. And then they have people who want to take, 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 take. And so them takers, they lurking. And then what they
Mhm.
doing is they want to get in your ear because they wanted to start that confusion between you and the loved one. And
Yeah.
so that's why I say sometimes people have to really think about what they're doing, especially when you're close to somebody, before you start beating them in the neck. And then y'all end up not having a relationship at all when your relationship was so close. So people
Yeah.
really conversation, people have to stop jumping to conclusions and really just have those conversations. That's what so I think so many relationships, friendships, all type of things happen all because people don't want to have that serious conversation. That
Yeah.
conversation, listen, and not just listen to comment, but listen to actually understand where the person is coming from. And I'm
Exactly.
like sometimes I remember this girl, like I was saying about that story, was all on this high horse, and I was like, "What in the world?" Like, and then me, I got caught off guard, and I was just like snapping, like, like, And I'm like, okay, let me pull my scorpion back in because that's that Scorpio
Wait,
coming out of me now. And I'm just like ready to attack. But I was just like, okay, let me fall back because
yes, pow
when I
pow.
and I'm just like, I can't do that. Like I was like, you done grown too far, you done came too far to be going back and forth. But honestly, sometimes these type of situations put you in a place where not only are you connected to better people in your life, but you start doing better in your life because now instead of
Yes,
you focusing on the BS with them, you focusing on what you need to do for yourself. So now you going and you like, oh, I'm about this, I'm about that. Now you making some moves that is like, okay, okay.
yes, you making some real moves.
I say so now. I actually am happy that the stuff happened because I'm like, okay, it might have fell off, but you helped me out because then you made me see what I need to be doing right now.
Right. And looking at your value and your worth. But that's the thing though, that when you get triggered, it be like pow pow. You know, I got something for everybody. Everybody can get it. My life coach said it be a pow pow because little Niecy with all the hurt and the pain wants to jump up and start fighting for big Denise, right? Little Niecy get out there, start throwing haymakers, right? But that's the point. We don't need to do that. And then when you settle down and understand, and girl, when you was talking, what came to my mind, many of friendships have died by text. The
Mm-hmm.
first thing my husband tells me is do not, if you have a disagreement with somebody, do not start talking on the text.
Mm.
Because text can be taken out of context. When
Right.
people start putting them capital letters, I hate when somebody give a bunch of exclamation points talking to me. The hell you say? You know, it'd be weird. He's like, babe, babe, call
It's
her.
funny
Just
because
call her.
some people will use text because they don't want to talk. Because I remember in that same situation, I was like, I'm not doing this text. Let me call. But then the person don't want to answer the phone because they don't want to hear what you got to say because they just can't handle the like just having that communication. So they're like, oh no, I just want like if you had that much time to write me a book, you had enough time to pick up the phone. like, don't write me a book. Just pick up
No,
your phone.
wait, because they narcs. It's the narc. The narc don't want to hear the truth.
Like,
And
I
like
don't
Queen, wait,
read.
Queen Wanda, is the truth. It's the truth. The narc do not want to hear your voice. They
Right.
do not. They just want to worry the heck out of you. Queen Wanda just put in the chat. She said the nuts make you stronger and more focused. And then
Yes.
she said, "See, King Day is correct. Not going in about them text messages.
Right.
Many of friendships and family relationships have died via text. And when
Even
Chucky get through sending me some
relationships.
crazy stuff, then Chucky blocks me. Hmm.
Right. Even some real. I've been hearing some people breaking up with a person over a text.
Oh, the text.
I'm like, over a text. Like, I don't want to be with you no more.
This ain't got the guts to talk to you. It
You-
just be crazy, but we can come out of it. And
right.
forgiveness is the whole key, honey.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, if you guys don't pick up on anything else today, my loving kindness messages do not allow anyone, friend, family, or foe, to hold you hostage in
Right.
any kind of situation. Because you have so much more on you and in you to share, be of service. Once you get free, you do the forgiveness. Your prayers are getting through. Your relationship with God is vertical, it's not horizontal. Do
Mm.
not be held hostage. Oh, girl, I had a good situation like that. Good girlfriend. Honey, we was like the three stooges, me, her, and Queen Z. And at one point, there was a disagreement. I think there was a little jealousy because, you know, I had met King Day and I started plotting my escape to retire. Honey, I'm gonna just tell the truth. I was
Right.
gonna retire at 57. I done found me a good man. I'm getting out of here. But see, if you my friend, you'll be happy for me.
Right.
But she started pulling away from me. And I thought that was weird because we traveled the world together, honey. We cruised the world. We flew around the world. We flew out here to Vegas, girl. Holed up in a hotel at the Mandalay Bay for a weekend to see Alicia Keys. And we running to pay bills. And we wasn't about no money with us. And this woman
Mm.
turned on me so quick that it shook me to my core. And I was like, dang,
Wow.
I had her name on my money, girl.
Mm.
Where I couldn't trust my blood, I trusted her. But what the
Wow.
end result of this was, when I went back first time, I'm apologizing. I came back the
Mm.
second time. If I hurt your feelings, I apologize. Third time, I came back crying and asking for forgiveness. You know what the Lord told me? If she don't forgive her own family members, how's she going to forgive you?
Mm.
And that resonated in my spirit. And I was like, you're not kidding.
Mm.
And on that day, I released it. I severed that tie and I
Mm.
let it go. Because she said she wasn't coming to my wedding, but she got mad that I gave somebody a wedding invitation, but she wasn't coming, but she wanted a wedding invitation. It was just all dysfunction at that point. But I say that to say this. I don't care how tight you been with them, how you been down under the water with them. Honey, when they ain't right, you got to use your discernment and you have to release it. And I wish you well. I wish you
Mm.
well. Her face pops up on photos on my phone from us on cruise ships. Girl, we
Mm.
cruised the Mediterranean. We've been out the country. We did some travels together, but I had to release that because if you ain't for me, then you against me. And
Right.
it's okay. It's okay. I want to know who in my corner. Wanda know, Evangelist Glover know, you know. Honey, my circle's so small and tight. I told my husband if I start talking to myself, it'll be all right because I like me. And I
Exactly.
like y'all. I love y'all. So
Mhm.
everybody in my circle right now, I know they care for me with true
Right.
loving kindness. But anybody else, girl, I'm praying for everybody. I pray for everybody, but some stuff we have to give it to God.
Right.
It's not our lane. Stay in your lane when you're supposed to be in your lane and
Mhm.
give it to God for his lane that we all be free and be in a forgiving space.
Right. And
Okay.
people stop worrying about invitations. That's the one thing that irritates me because I feel like if we're family, you don't need an invitation to come to something. Like I feel like as family, everybody is welcome. Like there is no need for a special invitation when it's family members. I just never understood why people would get mad over there. Like, oh, I didn't get it. Like really? Like why do you need an invite as a that's just one of my little peeves. I just don't get that. But some
Well,
people go through the
well,
changes. I'm like, that's just too much for me.
well, if you and if you tell me you're not
No,
coming, then
I
I'm
just
not
feel
gonna
like I
count
don't
you.
care. Like me personally, I'm not the type. Like I said, when it comes to family, I don't give a crap if me and you don't rock at all and we family. If it comes like, I guess, like one person who I say I love so much and really miss them was my Aunt Leanie. She was the person who really made sure our family
Oh,
stuck together, stayed together, and everything. And one thing that she always used to say, like she wanted that to stay. And so for a long time, I tried to keep it with having Thanksgiving and doing that and this, that, and other. And then things happened and it just couldn't, we
couldn't
just
do.
couldn't keep it going anymore. However, even now to this day, I'm like, even if I have a problem with someone, I'm still inviting that person to whatever I'm doing because of
Okay.
feel like I'm strong enough to be able to put my feelings to the side and make sure that as family we can still come together. And
Well,
that's
that's some grown woman stuff.
that's
That's
like I just can put it. I really truly can be like, okay, look, I don't even care. I'm inviting everybody. You know what I mean? Like I don't
right.
care how this happened. I don't care if I ain't talked to you all year long. I'm still like, hey, you welcome to come.
See, but that's on some grown woman vibe, and then it's up to the person if they want to come.
Come or
But it
not.
wasn't because I did
So
not
it's like
invite
I don't
you.
lose no sleep, and sometimes people will get into that. Oh, I don't. They try to act like they can't see your messages or they can't get to you. They can't respond when they don't show up, and it's like, okay, whether you show up or not, I really don't give a crap. I'm still making sure that
Right.
I did my part by making sure you knew. You see what I'm saying? So it's like,
Right.
don't get into
Okay.
like, you.
I invited you. It's up to you. But now hold up. Let's check this out. We got another good hot comment in the chat
What you
because
say?
Queen Wanda just said, "Look, once a woman she used to work with, she called her all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but when the woman found out that Queen Wanda had a new man, she ain't heard from her. So
Wow.
she said bye. Then just tell him bye." Because see, then that's a clear indication too that that's kind of weird. Homegirl ain't happy for you, but see, instead of being a hater, she ought to just look at inside of her own energy. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's why she can't attract a mate because of the kind of energy and hate and jealousy that she's in. But
Right.
like you said, baby girl, that is not your problem.
Exactly. And I actually had a friend where we thought, well, honestly, it's like I don't even know to this day. Like it was just kind of like, oh, we don't talk. You know what I mean? Because it was the thing where like I'm the type of person like I'll reach out to people now that I started like with business and things like that. I'm not as much where I can be sitting on the phone and doing all that like I used to. So it's
Mhm.
like very rare. Like I'm not that phone person like I used to be. Like where I'm going to really do.
Right.
But I was the one who randomly I would just pick up the phone. But I felt like if I'm always that one that's picking up the phone, then it's like okay, you can't pick up the phone and reach back. Like you know what I mean. So now I feel like it's just one sided. So when it becomes
Right.
for me, I'm like okay, at this point, is there a problem? Now, I'm that type. If I feel like we're really close and I really feel like I truly love you and I care for you, I'm going to ask you, is everything okay? What's going on? Like, I'm that,
Yeah.
and I'll leave that message. Like, hey, if you ain't answer, like, what's going on? What you got a problem? Like, what's going Let me know what's going on because I want to know.
Right.
Don't
Right.
turn around and have issues and then we don't because I'm that type. Like, that's why I feel like communication is key. Because if we
Yeah.
have a situation or if there's a problem, we need to communicate to fix it if we
For
really
sure. For
if we
sure.
don't really care, that let me know by you not responding because you don't care. So therefore, I don't care anymore, and then you go about your way, and I'm going to go about mine.
And I think I came to that place last year. That's where I pulled up on that spot. Last year, I pulled right up in it because I was the one that would reach out if I'm thinking about somebody. But then I think it started weighing on me when I was being sick, when I was recovering with breast cancer that second time. I was like, damn, nobody even called me. And then, but the ones that love me, that's in this line right now, would reach out. And I know life be lifing, and you not always on people's mind. But if you know that's the person that'll tap and hit your phone or send you that text, then
Mhm,
when they down, then do that for them. So those that I still, them few, them solid ones that
mhm,
I still have that bond with, that's where I'm at with it. But
mhm.
anybody else that's outside of that, I love you. I'm keeping them in prayer, but that's not my priority anymore.
Mhm,
Even for me right now, God's calling me to a higher service. There's
mhm.
so many people that needs to hear my story. I'm going to be working with the American Cancer Society. I'm going to be a mentor, to
Right.
other ladies that have been through cancer. It's
Mhm.
a higher calling. But at that one moment, the enemy was trying to make me be mad about it. No, life is life and people going through stuff. One of my best friends from high school, me and her had that conversation. I know
Mhm.
life is life with her. Things are going on. It don't mean I don't love you, but I'm not going to hold it. I'm not holding you to a standard that you got to check on me. But
Right.
those that I know that are down with me, they gonna hear from me on the regular. I know they gonna hit me up. Me and my girl was doing that when you were setting us up today. Me and Queen Wanda on the phone getting it up. Me and Evangelist Glover last week tapping it up. It's just how it is, and you know who those people are.
Right.
But good communication will save the day. If
Right.
don't nobody walk away with nothing else, have the courage to clear the air and just say, I want to come to you in loving kindness. And
Mhm.
also another clue when you're talking to people on communication, speak in I statements. Talk
Mhm.
about how I feel. Don't start pointing your finger talking about, well, you did that and you did
Right.
that and you did that because a narc or anybody that's defensive is going to get defensive in that moment when you start pointing and talking about what they did. We all know what they did, but
Right.
tell them how that thing made you feel.
Mhm.
I felt hurt. I
Mhm.
felt wounded. I felt disrespected. If
Mhm.
somebody talking to me crazy, that's the first thing come out my mouth. And all of our getting, we gonna get an understanding. But you have to understand and know that the way you're speaking right now, I feel defense. It makes me feel some kind of way. I don't like it when you're talking to me like that.
Right.
I don't like it when you talk to other people about me. Come
Mhm.
share with me.
Right.
There's a way we can change our language, and what we language out of our mouth is what's going into the atmosphere.
Mhm.
Stop talking about what you can't do. You're gonna try, either you're gonna do it or you're not. Get rid of try and
Right.
can't. Them the
Right.
first two, eliminate them two, along with soda, and you'll be better. Shoot.
Well, y'all, we've been on here for a minute. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope if y'all had anything that y'all want to tap in and talk about, let us know. This tonight was about family drama, but what we wanted y'all to understand is that every family has some drama. It's all about how you can fix the drama. You don't have to be the best of friends. You don't have to be, even if you're a family, you don't have to be totally around each other 24/7. However, you can be able to share the same space. You can be able to have those serious conversations. But in all, it's all about love and loving one another, caring for one another, being able to communicate with one another and let each other know how you truly feel. Let each other know how much you truly care and love for them. Because sometimes we don't even tell each other that we love one another or that we care for one another. And those are things that you really still need to do. It don't have to just be with your partner, your husband or wife. If it's even a friend, love you, I appreciate you. You really made my day. It's all about love. It's about being able to communicate. It's about us seeing above ourselves, over
Yes.
that, making sure that we can connect. So until next week, I hope to see
Mm,
y'all all again, 9 o'clock next week. And we will be back on here unfiltered and unbothered because we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff, y'all. So again,
yes.
with Miss Day all day. See
We
y'all
love you.
next.
Love you to life.
Bye.
Love y'all to life. Night, night.
Good night.